Right now, an elevator technician with absolutely zero student debt is out-earning.
Out-earning a vast number of mid-level corporate managers.
Exactly. Managers with master's degrees, even.
It's wild.
It really is. So, welcome to our deep dive into the sources today. Today is April 20, 2026, and we are examining a rapid generational dismantling of the traditional college-to-corporate pipeline.
Yeah, we're utilizing some really comprehensive survey data from Resume Builder, which was gathered back in mid-2025.
Right. And for you listening today, whether you are charting your own career course or just trying to understand the, macroeconomic shifts happening in your industry, we're going to explore the hidden mechanisms driving this modern workforce revolution.
Because the scale of this pivot is really what makes it so significant. I mean, we aren't talking about a fringe movement of people who just couldn't cut it in an office.
No, not at all.
We are analyzing a highly deliberate flight of human capital. So the May 2025 Resume Builder survey, it looked at over 1,400 United States respondents between the ages of 18 and 28.
Okay, let's unpack this real quick because the numbers are just staggering.
You really are.
37% of those who actually completed a 4-year university program are now opting for blue-collar jobs. I mean, manual labor, skilled trades, construction, automotive repair.
Right, the college graduates.
Yeah. And if we broaden the lens to include all Gen Z respondents, not just the college graduates, 42% are either currently working in or actively preparing for a hands-on trade.
Which is almost half the generation.
Right, and I found the demographic breakdown inside that data particularly revealing. When you look at the raw numbers, the gender divide among those degree-holding graduates pivoting to the trades is pretty noticeable.
Yeah, you have 46% of the men with degrees pursuing trade work.
Compared to 27% of the women.
Exactly.
But, regardless of that divide, the sheer volume of degree holders making this pivot is just counterintuitive.
It really challenges everything we've been taught.
Right. You spend 4 years and a massive sum of capital acquiring a highly specific asset, a university degree. And before it even appreciates in the market, you abandon it for an entirely different asset class.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make sense on paper.
Right. So it's like spending 4 grueling years training for a marathon, only to step up to the starting line and decide you'd rather go rock climbing instead.
That's a great way to put it.
So why do it? Why go through the whole collegiate system, endure the massive costs, and then immediately pivot to a trade the very moment they hand you the diploma?
Well, what's fascinating here is that it speaks to a deep, kind of delayed realization about market realities versus cultural conditioning.
Cultural conditioning.
Yeah, so career and education expert Keith Spencer points out in our sources that, for a century, there was this broad social push positioning college as the only legitimate path to respectability.
Oh, totally. Blue-collar work was marginalized as just a fallback.
Yeah. Exactly. A fallback. So millions of young adults just followed the blueprint they were given. They went to college because they were told it was mandatory for survival.
Right. Get a degree or fail.
But upon graduation, they're looking around, they're analyzing the actual economic board in front of them, looking at the structural shifts in the labor market, and realizing the blueprint they purchased is severely outdated.
It's broken.
It is. This is a calculated, pragmatic response to immediate economic pressures. It's not a rejection of ambition at all.
They're just taking their ambition to where the leverage actually exists.
Exactly.
Which brings us directly to the primary force altering that economic board. Because it isn't just about the trades looking better. It is about white-collar work undergoing a structural collapse at the entry level.
Yeah, the AI factor.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the specific capabilities of large language models that are making employers so hesitant to hire recent grads.
There's a separate ZETI survey in the sources covering about 1,000 Gen Z workers. And 65% do not believe a college degree offers them any protection from AI-driven job loss.
Wow. 65%.
Yeah, and almost half, 43% to be exact, have already adjusted their career plans because of AI.
That's huge.
And that adjustment is happening because of a concept we see playing out in real time. It's often referred to in computer science as Moravec's paradox.
Oh, right, Moravec's paradox. Break that down for us.
So it's the observation that high-level reasoning requires very little computation, but low-level sensor-motor skills like physical movement require enormous computational resources.
Meaning the robots are smart but clumsy.
Basically, yeah. It turns out writing a functional marketing brief or analyzing a financial spreadsheet is actually relatively easy for an algorithm.
But walking up a flight of stairs.
Or assessing a unique spatial environment to replace a rusted pipe. That is incredibly difficult to automate.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, evolution spent millions of years perfecting our physical dexterity, right? Structured language is a much more recent invention.
So AI is attacking the structured data jobs and just leaving the physical world largely alone.
Exactly, which is why 25% of the Gen Zers surveyed explicitly view blue-collar jobs as safer from automation.
Now, Lisa Marker-Robbins, she's a master certified career coach featured in the research. She drills down into exactly how this automation alters the corporate ecosystem.
Yeah, she highlights that AI is actively trimming the repetitive, early career white-collar work.
The foundational coding, the basic data entry, the primary research, all that stuff.
The busy work.
Right. But that repetitive work was the training ground. It's as if the bottom three rungs of the corporate ladder have been systematically sawed off by an algorithm.
That's exactly what's happening.
It's like trying to learn to play chess, but AI has completely automated the opening moves. You're expected to sit down at the board in the middle of a complex endgame without having played the setup.
You just don't get to learn the business by doing the basics anymore.
So how does this change the entry-level survival game? If the stepping stones are gone, how does anyone get a foot in the door?
Well, it fundamentally breaks the traditional pipeline. If the basic work is handled by an algorithm, companies don't need raw, inexperienced potential anymore.
They need senior-level strategic thinking.
Exactly, to manage the AI outputs.
Yeah.
As the sources note, this is why employers are stretching out hiring timelines and adding endless rounds of interviews.
Oh, the interview process right now is brutal.
It is. They are incredibly hesitant to hire entry-level candidates because the stepping stones those candidates use to stand on to generate value while learning, they no longer exist.
Right. A 22-year-old cannot provide immediate, complex, strategic insight without having absorbed the environment through that mundane early-stage work.
Exactly.
Okay, so escaping AI displacement is certainly a matter of survival, but, you still have to pay rent. Transitioning to a trade might offer job security, but are these young workers actually setting themselves up to thrive financially, or are they just accepting a lower ceiling to avoid automation?
Well, the financial mechanics heavily favor the trades, especially in the first decade of a career. And that decade dictates long-term compounding wealth.
So what does this all mean when we look at the survey data?
A third of the respondents stated that trade jobs offer better long-term prospects. And looking closely at the data, 16% of those who switched explicitly said their degree just wasn't yielding enough income.
And 20% couldn't find a job in their field at all, right?
Yeah, exactly. Contrast that with the 27% who confidently believe they can earn significantly more in a trade.
Okay, so let's calculate the actual financial swing between these two paths. Like, what does this look like for net worth by, say, age 25?
Lisa Marker-Robbins provides a fairly stark comparative model in the sources. She compares a 19-year-old starting a paid apprenticeship with a 22-year-old graduating from a four-year university.
Okay, lay it out for us.
The 19-year-old is earning a steady wage while mastering a skill, and they're carrying zero student debt.
Zero.
Let's say they earn a modest $40,000 a year during that apprenticeship. Over 3 years, that is $120,000 of positive cash flow.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the university student finishes 4 years with an average of $80,000 in student loan debt and steps into an evaporated entry-level job market.
Entering the job market with that much debt is like trying to swim a competitive race with a heavy anchor tied to your ankle.
While the apprentice is already halfway across the lake in a speedboat.
Yeah, exactly. Before compounding interest on investments or debt is even factored in, that is a $200,000 swing in baseline financial reality before the college graduate has even earned their first paycheck.
It's massive.
And the college graduate then has to service that $80,000 debt, which often means bleeding out, $800 or $900 a month post-tax?
Easily.
They have to secure a remarkably high starting salary just to break even with the apprentice's standard of living.
This raises an important question regarding our macroeconomic strategy over the last few decades.
How so?
Well, Marker-Robbins argues quite firmly that the college for everyone era is dead. And the sources indicate it ultimately does society a massive disservice.
By pushing everyone toward degrees?
Yeah. By stigmatizing manual labor and funneling an entire generation into universities, we manufactured a massive structural talent deficit in the skilled trades.
We incentivize the creation of middle managers while entirely neglecting the maintenance of our physical infrastructure.
Precisely.
Okay, wait, I have to push back here for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
The starting salary and zero debt look phenomenal at age 19, and the compounding math over the first 10 years clearly favors the apprentice. But what about the physical toll?
The wear and tear.
Yeah. Are these young workers factoring in that their knees, their shoulders, their backs might be severely depreciated by age 50? A white-collar worker might face a stagnant wage, but their physical body isn't an expendable resource in the exact same way.
It's a very fair point, and it is a critical trade-off. But this is where the concept of self-awareness and labor market strategy comes into play.
Okay.
First off, the modern trades are vastly safer than they were 30 years ago. We have strict safety protocols, much better equipment, ergonomic technology.
True, it's not the 1970s anymore.
Exactly. Furthermore, the goal for many entering the trades isn't to just swing a hammer until they are 65.
Right, they have an exit strategy.
The strategy is to leverage that 3 to 5 year head start to acquire specialized licenses, move into site management, or even transition into business ownership by their early 30s.
Oh, I see.
They are using their physical capability early on to build capital, rather than servicing debt for a decade just for the privilege of sitting in a chair.
That makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about the specific compensation that makes that physical trade-off worthwhile, because I think there's this lingering cultural assumption that a blue-collar job offers a solid middle-class existence, sure, but true wealth requires a corner office.
Right, the old stigma.
Yeah, but the actual salary data reported by Resume Genius shatters that assumption completely. I was genuinely surprised by these figures. Let's look at the mechanics behind some of these top earners.
The highest paying role on their list is the elevator and escalator technician.
Okay, what are they making?
The median salary sits at $106,580, with the top 10% earning $149,250 annually.
Nearly $150,000. We're culturally conditioned to equate six-figure salaries with boardrooms, but an elevator technician is out-earning a vast amount of mid-level corporate managers.
By a wide margin.
And when you look at the mechanics of why that pays so well, it makes perfect sense. An elevator technician isn't just turning a wrench.
No, not at all.
They are integrating complex digital software with heavy mechanical machinery while suspended in a vertical shaft. You have extreme physical risk combined with specialized knowledge that requires intense, ongoing certification.
It is the ultimate unautomatable job.
Exactly.
The same logic applies to the second highest earner on the list, which is the electrical power line installer and repairer.
What do the numbers look like there?
The median salary is $92,560, and the top 10% pull in over $126,610.
Wow.
You are dealing with high voltage in unpredictable environmental conditions.
Wow.
It demands a level of situational awareness that robotics simply cannot currently process.
Right. A robot can't climb a pole in a freezing rainstorm and safely rewire a transformer.
Oh, not even close.
Right.
And aircraft and avionics equipment mechanics follow closely with a median of $79,140 and the top 10% earning over $120,080.
Again, the stakes are incredibly high and the mechanical complexity is vast.
Exactly.
But even outside of those extreme risk roles, the median salaries for classic trades are incredibly robust. I mean, you have railroad workers at $75,680, stationary engineers and boiler operators at $75,190.
It's solid income.
Plumbers are holding a median of $62,970, and electricians are at $62,350. And when you factor in the lack of debt service, those median salaries provide massive purchasing power. But I was reviewing the figures on this trend, and here's where it gets really interesting. The ceiling on these jobs isn't defined by a corporate hierarchy. It's defined by local supply and demand.
Exactly.
If a local market lacks master electricians, those top-tier earners are easily clearing six figures simply by setting their own rates.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we are witnessing a raw recalibration of market value.
A recalibration.
Yes, for decades, the market rewarded theoretical knowledge because information was scarce and physical labor was relatively plentiful.
Right.
Today, we live in an era of infinite AI-generated information. Theoretical knowledge is becoming commoditized.
It's everywhere.
But the physical world is decaying. The grid needs updating, the plumbing needs replacing, the infrastructure requires maintenance. We have a severe shortage of people trained to execute those tasks, which drives their market value through the roof.
Supply and demand at its most basic level.
Exactly. The Gen Z workers pivoting to these roles are simply reading the market signals accurately. They recognize that specialized physical, spatial reasoning holds durable economic power.
It requires a brutal honesty about the mechanics of the labor market that past generations just didn't have to face.
No, they didn't.
So let's distill the journey we've been on in this deep dive. We started by exploring the sheer scale of the shift, with 37% of Gen Z college graduates and 42% of the generation overall turning their backs on the corporate blueprint to pursue skilled trades.
A massive pivot.
Right. We unpack the mechanism of AI automation, specifically how it is systematically destroying the entry-level white-collar roles that used to serve as the training ground for new professionals.
The sawed-off ladder.
Exactly. We examine the compounding financial realities, how the massive anchor of $80,000 in student debt cripples a graduate, while a 19-year-old apprentice builds immediate positive cash flow.
Which changes everything.
It really does. And finally, we looked at the mechanisms driving those surprising six-figure realities for the specialized technicians keeping our physical world running.
It is a profound transition. The young professionals thriving in this decade are the ones stripping away cultural expectations and critically assessing where demand is soaring, where debt can be avoided, and what skills possess genuine durability against the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence.
Which brings this deep dive right back to you. Analyze the daily mechanics of your own field. Are you assuming your traditional credentials will protect you in an era that might be rapidly shifting its premium towards specialized, unautomatable skills?
It's a tough question to ask yourself.
It is. If your primary output is structured data or text, are you checking to see if the bottom rungs of your industry's ladder have already been sawed off?
Right.
As you go about your day, I want to leave you with a final, lingering thought to explore on your own. We are watching algorithms aggressively commoditize traditional knowledge work-turning tasks that used to take a team of human analysts weeks to complete into a 3-second prompt.
It's happening fast.
Yet simultaneously, our aging physical infrastructure is demanding actual, skilled human hands more desperately than at any point in modern history. As we look a few decades into the future, will the new economic elite, the ones holding true leverage and unquestionable job security, be the ones wearing hard hats instead of suits? Keep diving deep.